All right, third time is the charm. Let's hope. Um, I've tried doing this video twice already, and I am dissatisfied. So I'm going to try it again. Um, I have had that experience that I often have where I get a lump in my throat because I hear somebody say something that I know is correct and I agree with, but I also know that I don't exhibit the behavior that would indicate that I agree with what they've said. Um, and it has happened to me all my life, where somebody says something and I'm just like, mm-mm, you're wrong. I didn't do a good job or whatever. That's the natural reaction that I have. It's like, nah, you just don't know what you're talking about. So I saw a video where he was talking about taking ownership of who you are and what you're passionate about, and getting used to calling yourself by that title. You know, whether it's sculptor, painter, musician, writer, anything, anything that you want. And to not feel awkward about saying that. And I agree with him that that's a good thing to do, and we should all do that and not have to say, oh, well, I do this for my job. Which is kind of what I think most of us do. I certainly do. That's my job. It's not who I am. I just do it because I get paid. That's all. I'm good enough at it, and I don't think about poking my eye out before going to work every day. So, that's why I stick with it. Pretty low bar. But anyway, it made me think about how the last time I had that lump in my throat was in the summertime when it happened to come out in a conversation with a friend, that I had a few pieces of poetry published years ago. And, it was over Facebook Messenger or something like that. And he's like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, actual books. And I sent like a quick photo of the books that I was included in. And he's like, wow, like actual books, wow. And he was really impressed. And I was like, I don't know, it's not that impressive, is it? That was my reaction, just off the top of my head. I don't know, I immediately diminished what he was saying. That was my reaction. And we went on to discuss, because he said, well, what do you mean? That's really great. And he was confused. And I was like, oh, well, and I went on to kind of talk about and do that thing that we do in comparing, right? I went to school with some pretty friggin' great writers who, since the program, have gone on to get further education and have written many books at this point, because I graduated a long time ago. And they're the real writers. I published everything during my program and then proceeded to do nothing. So I perpetually feel behind. And anyway, I know that we all do this, where we're just like, I'm not as good. I'm not good like that other person in the same field as me. That other person is better than me. I'm never going to be that great. So I'm not going to like call myself by that title. And I was explaining to him how, yeah, like there's a weight, there's a heavy mantle that comes with saying that you studied poetry and have written and published some and call yourself a poet. It is, as you can see, like I have to say it that way rather than saying I am a poet. Like that just feels really weird to say. It feels like I shouldn't say that because I am just so aware of my lack of understanding, my lack of knowledge. I'm just so aware of what I don't know and how much of that there is, because there is lots. And, I haven't won any prizes lately and blah, blah, blah. And he said, well, so what? And I was like, what do you mean? And he said, because I was feeling miserable at this point, I was feeling pretty down, so I couldn't understand what he meant. And he went on to say that, not everybody is gonna win Governor General's awards. Not everybody is gonna write 50 books. Not everybody is gonna be the poet laureate. Not everybody's gonna do that. That doesn't make them less, does it? And yeah, that lump happened because I knew that that was correct. I thought about it and was like, well, right, if somebody came up to me and told me that they were trying to learn poetry or they considered themselves a poet in some way, I would certainly not turn around and say, well, did you win a Governor General's award? Did you publish all of these books of poetry? Did you win prizes? Did you land a book deal with an actual legacy publisher rather than just self-publishing? Of course I wouldn't say those things. That's so incredibly rude. Oh my God. Right? There's a different standard that gets applied to other people than to myself. In this case, I'll just speak for me, but I'm pretty damn sure other people are no different in this way, where we think immediately of the greats in whatever field we're in. And we measure ourselves up and we try to compare, and you can't, and I'm totally aware that you can't do that. It's completely pointless. It doesn't serve any purpose other than to cut yourself down and feel terrible about your apparent lack of accomplishment or lack of knowledge or lack of whatever, And that makes it hard to take ownership of, being passionate about something, because there's this failure, this sense of being an imposter, this sense of, I kind of sort of did this, but I don't know, and it's not very good, and, can't do that, and I know that you can't do that. And I would be sad if someone else were to do that about themselves. But at the same time, I turn around and do it to myself. This not being good enough thing is really insidious, and it keeps us from being comfortable and confident enough in ourselves to say what we're passionate about, and to, you know, delineate that even from our career. We don't have to be working a job that is our passion, right? I think most of us don't, quite honestly. And to be able to get away from that and just, instead of just kind of, oh, I do this job, but instead call yourself by the title of what you do in your own time, on your own time, to find enjoyment, right? Like, that's a good thing that we should all do and get used to doing. And at the same time, it's hard to do because of this perceived pressure and negativity and cynicism about things, and feeling like if you call yourself by a title, then you're immediately going to not measure up to that title. And in my case, with something like poetry, it's a heavy title. And I've studied it, I've read enough of it, or some of it. I've written some, but I'm just very, very aware of how irrelevant it is in society. People don't put a lot of value in it. And that puts me in a slump too. Just because of course I had to be drawn to and reasonably good at something that could be seen as archaic, I suppose, in today's way of living. And as evidenced by my last video, that didn't go over very well. And I'm bummed, not gonna lie. I'm not ready, I guess, to call myself by any such a name. I wish I had more kind of something better to kind of offer, but I don't, as usual. I don't know enough. There's a subscribe button there, if you've made it this far. And there's a video there if you're into it. See you later.